Hey YouTube, guitar wearing 106. It's still the same day. I just got a bit cold, so I put my jumper on, my Fender jumper with what looked like jack sockets, but actually, see, I did check this obviously almost immediately. They're slightly bigger, so you can't accidentally plug these into a guitar. But yeah, aye. So we're just talking about humbuckers there. Basically basic principles about that in 105 was what I was doing. So I suppose what comes next? I mean, that's I've kind of covered all the guitars. I suppose I should do a Strat. So the way a Strat's wired, you've got 3 single coil pickups. So you get 1, 2, 3 single coil pickups, and you've still got, there's your earth, which is your shield on your jack, and then there's the positive, which is the tip. You should have watched all of them so you know what I'm talking about with earth and tip. So again, this is basically the earth goes and goes into all these pickups. So they all get their earth or their minus or their shield, whatever you want to do it. And then they've all got an output. So the way a Strat lever switch works is, right, if you look at the Strat lever switch, on the bottom of it, you've got 1, 2, 3, and then I'm drawing it bigger just so it looks different. And then that, right? So that's kind of what a Strat switch looks like. Obviously the bits here, whether it's the, that's this is an import switch, the one with the PCB on it, right? So basically what these, if you can look at this as, have I got something that I can just obscure that with? This crappy bit of paper. So let's just look at one side of the switch. This is technically 2 switches, so basically just use one side of the switch, right? It's pretty simple. So basically what you would do is you put one of these into this terminal, one of these into this terminal, one of these into this terminal, and then that is the output, which goes to your volume. Your volume and then output, as discussed in previous ones. There is a Strat. It doesn't have a tone control just now, but there is a Strat, right? So basically what this switch does, in the lever position, it chooses neck pickup, middle pickup, or bridge pickup. The way a Strat was originally designed to use, you can listen to any one of the 3 pickups. And then you get, when Hendrix and other people, Jeff Beck used to do it as well, if you wedge the switch not quite in the position where it's touching this one, and not quite in the position it's touching this one, but in the middle, you get neck and middle together. Or bridge and middle together by wedging it in the middle. And what they did with the switch after many years was just put a notch. It's still a 3-way switch, right? Although it's called a 5-way switch, it's not a 5-way switch. It's just a 3-way switch, right? So you can either have this one, or this one. But what they did is they put a wee notch in it so that you can kind of wedge the switch easily between the 2 positions. So it does have 5 positions, sort of, but not really. I actually did a video taking how you can convert a 3-way switch into a 5-way switch in reversible there's a thing inside it. Check that out. It will be in this wiring playlist. Yes, so basically like that. That's all a Strat does. Obviously you've got the volume control, which we did in the earlier ones. The thing that's different a little bit when you're using the other side of the pickup is the tone controls, right? So say these are numbered, just like so that's obviously the neck, the middle, and the bridge, right? So you get N, M, B. On this side of the switch, not on all switches, on most of them, the Cortex switch is very clever. The one in Ibanez RGs don't do this, right? But this one is the same, so it's NMB. Here, it's the same. So it's NMB, right? So the way it does it is like, see, if you join, right? So this is basically exactly the same switch. So sometimes I've got 2 jacks in the middle here. I don't actually have a 5-way switch kicking or a Strat switch kicking about. Sometimes these are joined together. You've only got 1 in the middle, right? For this reason. Or if you join the 2 of them together, that means that, see, when you're connecting N to the output, it's also connecting to this terminal here on the N. So that means you can put your tone on there. for the neck tone. And for the middle tone, that means that, see, when you're selecting the middle pickup on its own, the neck tone's no longer active because it's not connected, whereas it would be in position when you've got them both on because it's connecting to this tone control. And the same with the middle one. You can put a tone on that as well, which means you get a separate tone for the middle. That's how a Strat works. That means that basically if you just put it in off the volume control, how do you differentiate between the different pickups? Which one gets different tones? Right? So that's how the tones work. That's why there isn't a bridge tone. So basically, quite a common mod is, oh, I wish I had a bridge tone. You could, see if you jumper cable, like the middle to the bridge on this bit here, it means that the middle tone control would operate the bridge as well. So you'd have a tone that did both the pickups. Or on the other side, you could, instead of connect it to middle, you could connect this bridge connection to the neck, which would mean that the neck tone control did the bridge as well, because Stratocasters don't have tone controls on the bridge. But it's a super simple mod to make it. It's got, people, up here, it's got connected on. It's basically all you have to do is just join the two together with a wee bit solder, and then you end up with, that's the only modification you have to do. Right, Telecaster, which is a little bit more confusing. So Telecaster has the same exact switch as, so I'm going to draw the switch again. So you've got 1, 2, 3 as your outputs, a big one and a big one, and then 1, 2, 3. This is my own little way of drawing a 5-way switch. The rest of the switch is up here, blah blah blah. There's the switch. Right. So this is a 3-way switch. So you can, what it does is it connects. The number of these, 1, 2, 3, and then these are the same, 1, 2, 3. So they're kinda reversed. It's not outside and outside of the same. It's 1, 2, 3, and then these ones connect to this output, and these ones connect to this output, and I've just drawn boobs. Right, so on a Telecaster would all seem quite easy. So you put the bridge pickup in here, right? There's the bridge pickup. And say you put the neck pickup on there. Do you see where I'm going with this middle pickup thing? How do you get both of them on at the same time? And the way you do that is you put the neck on this side. You link these two together. There's your output. So now in position 1, the bridge is coming through. In position 2, the neck is coming through. What about position 3? In position 3, it's the neck pickup that's going in. Yeah. So in order to get them both to work in the middle, you jumper that onto the middle position, which means that in position 2, the bridge is on its own. And if you do it this way, you jumper that onto the middle as well. So that in position 2, it's getting both. You can't do it on one side, because if you imagine you've got like your three inputs and an output, and you've got bridge and neck. You see, you can't connect. If you connect them both, if you connect them both onto there, then they're all joined together, so they're all permanently on. So you need to use both sides of the switch to get this, to get the middle position right. So if you ever look at your Telecaster, that's what you end up with. 8 minutes. That's long enough. So there's a tele switch, or just a 3-way switch, whatever way you look at it. Well, a 2 pickup switch then, because as I said earlier on, a 3-way switch isn't really a 3-way switch. A 5-way switch isn't really a 3-way switch. It's a 5-way switch that you can jam between positions to connect the two things together. That's basically. I think I'm pure rattling through all these different wiring combinations. What have I forgotten about? I kind of think that's it. It's like, I suppose I'll talk about a switch. Like normally a switch is normally like one of your wee toggle switches get 3 terminals on it. Well, normally they've got 6 terminals on it, but let's say there's your most basic toggle switch, which it's a 2 position. So in the up position it connects these two together, and in the down position it connects these two together. So if you wanted to use it as an on-off switch, you'd come in here, and then you would go out here. So when you're in this position, when you're in the up position, it joins these two together, and when you're in the down position, it joins these two together, which means that the circuit's not complete because it's coming in here and then just stopping there. Yeah. When you've got normally toggle switches and push-pull pots, you get 2 rows, and all they do is basically you still get the one switch, but it either connects these two together, or it connects these two together, which means that if you're doing coil splitting, for example, you can have you can put both of these to earth with boom, there you go, and then you put the bridge pickup split on there, and the neck pickup split on there, which means that it basically there's only one switch, so it's up and it joins these two together, which means you're actually joining the both of them to earth, which would split both humbuckers into single coils. This can't be done, obviously, because if you did it with just the one type of switch and you put the bridge split and the neck split, you're actually joining the two of them together, so the two pickups would be joined together. This way they're kept separate. Well, they're joining together when they're going to earth. And basically, I suppose, how long are we in here? 11 minutes. Okay, I'll show you, man. I'll choose my coil choice switch. So say you wanted, again, so here's you go, you're going to split the bridge split pickup. Right, there's this is the junction wire I was talking about the previous where's the previous drawing. There, this junction wire, right? So this is what we're doing here, right? So we're taking this junction wire, the wire, we're just tapping off it. It's not just soldering it onto this wire that joins the two coils together, and then you can see that I'm putting the switch to earth. So that's what this is doing. It's taking this bridge split pickup, putting it to earth, which is giving us this coil. Yep. So this one here, the other way, see, it's not going to earth, it's going to the output of the pickup. So on this side, you would have neck split wire, and then this would go to whatever the output of the pickup was, possibly the volume control or the switch, depending on where it's going. And that would give you, so that would, if you've got two humbuckers, it would give you, you know, it's saying that these are, so there's your two humbucker guitars. One of these will be at clockwise, and one will be anti-clockwise, and one will be clockwise, and one will be anti-clockwise, right? So as I said there with the hum cancelling thing, if you choose, you know, this one and this one, which is fine, they're not hum cancelling because both pickups are the same. So ideally what you want to do is choose this coil of this one and the top coil of this one, because this one's minus and this one's plus, which will give you hum cancelling when you're listening to both of them at the same time. So that's why you would run this is still a dual coil split, but it's splitting them so that you're getting the opposite winds, which means it's hum cancelling in the middle position. I bet you that sounded dead confusing. Right, I think I've had enough doing this. Hopefully some of this is of use. It's just that this whole thing was just I don't get it at the same time. It's like, see, when people was up here, oh, Malcolm's an expert in wiring, and they just up here, oh, just, you know, and they message me and they ask, oh, I've just got this, and they just show me, you know, like a mass of wires, or they show me a diagram. And the thing about this, where's that humbucker? Where's that drawing of a humbucker? Done with it. Totally lost it. Right, so here's your humbucker. Two coils joined together, right? As I said, there's an input and then there's an output, and then the two of them are joined together like that, right? So when you've got a 2-wire pickup, these are in series because it's running through this one, then it's running through this one, right? Normally, sometimes this is green, sometimes it's black, right? This wire here, if you imagine extending these out, right, these are very commonly red and white, these two wires. Not always. That would be too easy if it was always, right? And you'll see this if you look inside. If you look at a pickup, there's like one that's got more wires in it. These two are quite often soldered together because to run it, so you can just kind of ignore them with a wee bit of tape on them, right? And that bit there's not there anymore. So that would give you red and white. And the output is sometimes green and it's sometimes black. These are just coloured bits of wire. There is no defining rules for these things. Seymour, if you go to the Seymour Duncan pickup wiring site, all Seymour Duncans use black as the earth and red. But you see, the difference is that if you're just using the colours of the wires to decide what it is you're doing, it's like, okay, I'll wire it up and I'll do. But what happens if this particular pickup manufacturer used the white wire as the start one, and then the green wire here and the red wire here, so the colour of the wire doesn't mean anything. It's what the wire actually does. So that's what my point would be, to try and understand what the pickup's actually doing before you can, so that then you can translate whatever wiring it is you want to do into it. But you've got to know that this is the south coil and this is the north coil, right? So this is south coil start, and the white in this case is south coil finish. And the red is north coil start, and the green is north coil finish. That's what's important. It doesn't really matter what colour they are. You need to know the start of this coil, the end of this coil, the start of this coil, the end of this coil. Yeah. And if you've heard of parallel wiring, so this is one of the options you can do if you've got these extra wires. So you're coming in here, there's your, in this case, black. I'm not sure whether this is Seymour Duncan or DeMarzio, whatever. And then you've got white coming out here. And then I've got red going in there. And then green coming out there. So, as I said, I'm currently joining, to make this into a humbucker, you would normally join white and red together. There you go, bang, in here, out there, in series, right? So what you can do instead is have them in parallel, which means that you would just run these two together, and then these two together. So instead of running through this one and then through this one, it runs through both of them at the same time. What happens there is you get the hum cancelling thing, because it's still this magnet's still upside down and reverse wind to this one. So that thing I was doing with the two signals that cancel each other out still works. But because it's not running through both of them, it sounds much more like a single coil. So it runs through them both equally because they're both the same resistance. You're kind of splitting the load between the two of them, which is hum cancelling. And other things, you can also, when you've got the 4 wires, but that's when you've got, right, again, go back. So technically there could be 5 wires, right? But the 5th wire would be the shield, which goes onto the metal base plate. My God, this is confusing, right? So the metal base plate is often just the shield. If you've got 5 wires, that's what they are. You've got one that goes to the shield. If you've got a separate shield, you want to put that onto the input to make it into a normal humbucker. And then you've got the shield in south start, south finish, north start, north finish. There's your 5 wires. If you've got 3 wires, these red and whites, say I've split the two of them like that. I've taken this one and made it come out here and made it one wire, but the two of them are normally taped together. Well, you can just basically just have the two of them still joined there, but just put one on, so it's just connected to both of them. You can use that for splitting rather than having the 4 wires. I think I probably went on too much and made it sound too confusing. So that's going to be the end of my guitar wiring basics. There's other things, but I mean, basically that's kind of all of it. There are other things you can do. You've got like a phase switch, and all a phase switch is, you're taking the plus and minus wires, because obviously this is just as I said, just a magnet with it doesn't know which way round it goes. There is no earth on this one because there's no metal plate. So basically all you do to make it to phase it is swap that round and make this one hot and this one earth, or make this one earth and this one hot. It doesn't matter. What is a very common mistake is, see when you're using people put humbucker and a single coil together. For some reason, I don't know why, it's backwards. So if you put a humbucker in a Strat, I bet you've seen a guitar that does this. People put like a hot rail, or they put humbucker in the bridge position in the Strat. Everything works fine, apart from when you've got the two of them on the bridge and the middle on at the same time, and then it's a really thin, horrible sound. Which you can put a switch on to make it do that, but that's because generally these are the opposite way around from these. So you basically, all you do is you just flip the 2 wires that are on this. You have to make sure that if you're using, you know, that this shieldy wire, that it's not touching any earth or anything like that. This has to be completely separate. It's the same if you're doing if you're doing the Peter Green mod on a humbucker pickup. As I said on this one, right, you've only got 2 wires. The start of the south coil and the end of the north coil, and then inside. But because the start of the south coil is actually physically soldered to the base plate inside this. So if you flip the phase and put this in backwards, right, it means that the earth is connected to the hot output, which means that your pickup is live. So if you touch, like the mounting screws, I won't say they're upside down in this one, but if you touch the mounting screws, it will be the same as touching the end of your lead. So if you're doing that, that's why it's doing that. If you flipped it upside down, reversed it. So you have to take the earth off, disconnect it, and then put it onto the other side, or run the earth separately to do that. I think I'm probably starting to make it sound more confusing now. Rock on and enjoy guitar wiring. It is simple, I hope. And my understanding of it is maybe not technically super mega correct and scientific, but it does work. And it's because I've thought of it. It's all because of that Jack White thing where he just basically had he made a guitar by having a plank of wood with a string on it and a bottle to hold the string up, and then he put this, and he just put a jack socket onto the pickup and turned it in and started playing Pure Amazing Blues on it, and it's like, that's all it is. It's just that simple. It's just the same principle on a Stratocaster. It does it 3 times, and there's a switch to choose which one it is. That's it. And on a humbucker, there's 2 coils, but the input and the output are still there. So basically, you can, with this pickup, you can still just put that straight onto the lead, and it works, or straight onto a jack socket, and it works. You just don't have a volume. You put the volume in the same way, and it's all these principles are just the same things. A volume control is always a volume control. You just put it in a different place. You know, I've already explained this. Like on a, if you're got like a Les Paul, which has got 2 volumes, a volume for each pickup, it has to go to the volume control for the pickup, and then go to the pickup selector switch before it goes out. Whereas if you've only got 1 volume and 1 tone, like the cheaper one, then it goes to the switch first, then it goes to the volume. It's simple if you just think about it logically, and the more I talk, the more confusing it gets. Anyhow, thanks for watching this series. Like and subscribe, and it would be nice if I got to 4,000 likes by Christmas. That'd be smashing. Rocking. I've probably just done myself out of some work there. To be honest, the hard bit, right, and the last thing is, when you're soldering these things up, see if you connect it up wrong, right? 3 things are going to happen. It's going to work. Be perfect. It's not going to make any sound, or it's just going to buzz like mad, right? Those are the 3 things that are going to happen when you try and do any wiring. None of these things damage anything. When I say they don't damage anything, when you're soldering onto these things, if you don't solder onto it well, and you spend ages putting it, you might physically melt something. You might melt the wire casing, or melt the switch, or something like that. So when I say you can't damage anything, electrically you can't damage anything. It'll sound horrible if you connect all the wires up wrong, but it won't blow your amp up. You won't get electric shocks. There's no electricity inside a guitar that can hurt you, and you won't damage any of the components electrically. But obviously, if you hold a soldering iron on for ages until it gets absolutely red hot, some of this plastic might melt and stuff like that. So in that case, you can damage it, but you're not going to damage it if you solder it on correctly. And the hard thing about soldering is just getting used to it, and making sure that you put the solder onto, like if I was joining a wire tack, that's already got solder. You put solder onto the terminal. You put the terminal down. You put solder onto the end of the wire, and then you join the 2 of them together. If you haven't done that way, and you've got the solder on there, and you've just got a bare wire and you're trying to solder it on, you can just put as much solder on as you want. The 2 of them will never stick. The 2 of them it's called tinned. You've got to tin them. So join the 2 things together, make them both covered in solder, and then join them together. If you just hold the 2 together and just try and poke at it, which so many people try and do, and that's so many guitars I've gone into, and you just go, oh, and they've just put so much solder in it because it won't stick. It refuses to stick to it because you've got to put it on like that solder bob there. You've got to put the solder onto the back of the pot first, then join a wire. Well, then put it onto the wire, then join the 2 together. Don't be just sitting there with a wire with solder on it, trying to solder it onto the back of this, because you just end up, you can just heat it up forever until it's hot as magma. It'll still not stick, and you'll melt your guitar, or you'll burn yourself, or whatever. Rock on.